Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live.
This might be the last time to get to the beach because it tends to get cold in August, which did not happen this year. So maybe you'll be able to get to the beach elsewhere because it did not get cold this year. Let me just get my coffee here. And I forgot YouTube is on. Oh my goodness, I'm so silly. Be right there, YouTube. Don't leave me, YouTube. Should have put a picture on, but I didn't. Making a mess. Hi, YouTube. Let me just say hi to YouTube. Oops, almost ended the broadcast. Hi, Miss Net Net. How are you? Ooh, child. All right, hold on a second. Okay. Ooh. I just came running back from getting coffee. My Keurig broke. And I don't want to buy a new one for whatever reason. And so I'm walking, and it's not a bad thing. I'm walking down the hill to walk up the hill, but I kind of like the walking. So I'm not going to buy a Keurig until I'm tired of walking. Hi, Pink Lily Phil. Hi, Concrete Rose. Good health, guys. Good health, everyone. Let me just type this in because I have the time to type it in, right? We all have a holiday weekend. Who's off this weekend? Who gets to enjoy this weekend? Any of you guys that are on get to enjoy this weekend? Hi, Sophia. Good health. Yay. Miss Net gets to enjoy the weekend. Yay. Oh, my God. You must be so happy. Just so happy. And I'm happy for you. There you go. Did anybody listen to last night's show? Because if you did not tune in for last night's show, ooh, child, you missed a show and a half. It was a good show to listen to. The next time you're driving, put the show on. Hi, Musings. Hello. Do you have off this weekend, Musings? Let me tell you guys something. You know, when something is meant for you, it will be meant for you, right? When something is not meant for you, don't cry about it. Do not cry about it. That means anything and everything. And I know it's hard because everybody likes to invest in miserable emotions. It's true. Everybody likes to invest in sadness, anger, aggravation. I'm aggravated. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm depressed. Although depression can be a mental condition. So I don't always count depression, right? But When something is meant for you, oh, okay. When something, oh, yes, yes, I remember. Enjoy the move. Right, right. When something is meant for you, no one can take it away from you. No one. No one can have what is meant for you. So I say that to say I haven't had coffee for 2 weeks, right? In my house. So I go to the local store, right? And when I go to the local store, there's a car parked next to the store. It's a gas station. I go to the car park. And I said to myself, because I'm very observant, right? I said, I bet that's her car. But I said, that's such a nice, not but, I said, such a nice car. She's lucky, right? So every time I leave, I look at her pretty car, right? One day, we had to wait for something. I don't remember. So I'm inside the gas station, and this man makes a derogatory comment as to how she got the car. And man, she went ham on him. I mean, ham. And he kept looking at me, and I was like, I'm not getting in the middle of this, but like, I there's no support here. I don't know what he wanted, or maybe he was just embarrassed because he knew I wasn't a local. Because you could tell I'm not a local, people. And so ultimately he leaves, and there was another man. It was like a group of men, and there's another man. And she goes, I worked very hard for my car, right? She's younger than me. She's like 40 something. And I was like, I believe you, child. I was like, I understand, you know, taking care of yourself, being by yourself, taking care of yourself, and just accomplishing. Like, I get it. I was like, trust and believe. I understand and I get it, right? So she tells me how she got the car. She actually has two jobs. And her other employer, she would say to that employer, hold my money until she had enough. And I was like, that's really smart, right? This morning I go, and she's not inside, although she doesn't stay inside. Like, she's one of those girls. She's got to be all over the place. So she's not inside, which is typical. Like, I'm not expecting her to be inside. I figured I was going to be late for you guys because I didn't get up in time. And she comes in. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I was showing someone my car. And I was like, what? And she's like, I was like, you're selling your pretty car you just got? Like, I'm confused, right? And she goes, no, I'm selling the car that I replaced. And I was like, oh, you're selling a car? And right away, Spirit was like, and it's cheap, child. And I was like, you're selling a car? And she goes, yes. And I hear Spirit say, and it's cheap. And I was like, how much? And she goes, 4,000. And I was like, I didn't know you were selling a car. And she goes, you pass by it every day. And I was like, oh, okay. So I don't tell her that I'm looking for a car, right? I don't bother to go into the whole spiel. She had just given the car keys for someone to test drive it. I say that to say, God knows I'm looking for a car. You don't know that I'm looking for a car. God knows I'm looking for a car. Why did God give me a blind eye to a car that's for sale? And I've been going to the gas station every day for 2 weeks because I refuse to buy a Keurig. Why would God give me a blind eye to it? Because it wasn't meant for me. It wasn't meant for me. That's why. And I can't be upset with God. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to be upset with my God when he gave me a blind eye to a car that's for sale for just $4,500. Let me tell you something. If it was meant to be mine, it would be. So, what's the moral of the story, Tracy? The moral of the story is Be happy. Be happy, I guess. I don't know. What's the moral of the story, Tracy? If something is meant to be yours, it will be yours. And if you pass something by every day and you can't see it, it wasn't meant to be yours. That's the moral, I guess. Good morning, Ori. Good morning, Ifasheye. How are you? How are you? Oh, Melissa's here. Let's get Melissa on. I wonder if she heard the whole story, or else I will repeat it. Hi, Melissa.
Good health. And good health story.
Good health.
I only got to hear a little bit of your story. I only got to hear a little bit of it.
Well,
about the car.
This is the short version. I broke my Keurig, so I go to the gas station every day for the past 2 weeks.
Good morning. Right.
She just brought a brand new car, but she had her old car for sale. So she's telling me somebody's test driving her car. And I said, you're selling your brand new car? And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, she must really need money, right? And she goes, no, I'm selling the car that I'm replacing. And I was like, you're selling a car? And she goes, you pass by the car every day. I was like, oh. It just wasn't meant to be mine, Melissa.
Wow.
It wasn't meant to be mine. That is hilarious.
No, but you know what, though? It's like, you know how, like, somebody playing in sight and we just don't notice it?
Yes.
It happens.
Yeah. It was in plain sight.
You know, it could be like, you know, everybody says, well, that black cat lives next door.
Uh-huh.
And you know, you just never thought about it until someone said something.
It was
true.
in
like that.
plain sight. And you know, God is a funny God, right? Normally, if something like that were to happen, he would, one, break my Keurig, have me walking down the hill, and then bingo, bango, the gift just opens up. Like, oh my God, and I got a car, blah, blah. God was like, listen, you just broke your Keurig. You ain't buying that car. I was like, oh God, you funny. You so funny. So the moral of the story is, if it's meant to be mine, it would be.
Right.
Period. I think that's the moral of the story. I have no idea. Because sometimes it's hard to measure God. You think you know him, and God is like, How are you doing? How was your week?
Knowing that the lady said about her car, it's like saying, it's like almost, it's not like an omen. You're looking for one.
Yes.
The word car. So, you know, the doors, the possibilities, it's still there.
Yeah.
Might not be that car.
Good girl.
But another one could be even better.
Good girl. It's closer than I realized, getting this car, right?
Right.
You know, I met...
And just make sure that you want it to be a healthy car that has no problems. Because that's sometimes what people want to sell, because they got a whole bunch of problems. But they're not telling you that. They just want to get rid of the fucking car.
That's happened to me a couple of times, Melissa. And it makes me so sad. One woman said to me, I said to her, if you ever know anyone that's selling a car, let me know. And she said to me, I have a car, but I wouldn't sell it to a woman. And I said, oh, okay. And I exchanged telephone numbers with her. And she calls me back later and she goes, do you want to come get the car? And I'm like, did this woman just forget that she told me she would never sell it to a woman? And the reason why she said she would never sell it to a woman is because it has electrical issues. And she wouldn't want me stuck on the side of the road. She said that.
Right.
And she calls me back later and she goes, do you want to take the car and bring it to a mechanic? I'm like, no, ma'am. No. You just said you wouldn't give it to a woman. And then I say to her, I said, well, I think the problem is finding a mechanic, right? You need a car to find a mechanic, right? So I was like, I think the real problem would be finding a mechanic, so I have to decline. And then she goes, oh, well, I just wanted to get it off my property before I took my vacation. What?
Wow, she's just really trying to get, she's just not giving a damn. She just wants to get rid of it.
It was so...
She doesn't care what,
exactly. She didn't care, but let me tell you something. You don't give me your karma, dude. No, I don't understand it. And ever since then, I was like, okay, I have to be careful with these people out here. There's something not okay out here. Like, hold on a second. Like my neighbor that asked me to cash a check made out to cash for $850. You know, I haven't talked to that neighbor since.
Right, because even if you say yes to it, he was gonna ghost you anyway.
Say that again, Melissa.
He's gonna ghost you when you get. I said, if you did what he wanted, he still would have ghosted you anyway.
Yeah.
You don't want to have no time to it.
Well.
Yeah, so he would stop talking to you anyway.
Yeah, but I also feel like whoever the check belonged to, I feel like somebody would have said, I didn't give her the check. She stole it. Do you understand?
Right.
Remember, he said he didn't have ID and this, that, and the third. You can't be out here without ID. You can't get to the island without ID. You might be able to get from Ohio to California without ID. You can't get here without ID.
He was trying to see who he could scam. But at the same time, he already knows when he scams somebody, he ain't going to go through it again because, you know, he don't want to get caught.
But he wouldn't get caught, right? Because if the check was suspicious, right, the woman would say, somebody took this amount of money out of my account, right? And my ID would be on the back of the check, right? And then if I were to say to the cops, he gave it to me, he could say, no, I didn't. Because it was made out the cash. Now, here's the funny thing, because I always ask God for confirmation. And I say to God, show me that I did the right thing. And of course, I know I did the right thing, everyone. That's not the point. But I said, God, show me I did the right thing. So we have this thing called VI News on YouTube. Why did God show me a woman that cashed checks from her employer, and several of the checks was made out to cash? And I was like, okay, thank you, God. Meaning not only did I do the right thing, but now it's really confirmation that I can't trust his neighbor. Do you understand?
Right, I agree with you. I love that you asked for time. You like, show me. Before I make this big decision.
Say that again, Melissa.
I like the fact that you asked God to show you signs.
Always.
To show you in about making a good decision.
Always. Always, Melissa. Last night, we were talking about, on Tracy After Dark, we were talking about how to communicate with God. How do you talk to God? Like, what are the best methods? And even if I know the answer, even if I know, like in this case, I knew. I was like, this motherfucker, right? But I said to God, show me I did the right thing. And here's the funny part, Melissa. I rarely watch VI News. Rarely. I only watched it when COVID was showing numbers, and I wanted to know the numbers for the island. Why did I watch VI News this time? And I was like, oh, I'll just let it play on YouTube. It was like the next video up. And I was like, it's like 8 minutes long. It's never long. And I was like, oh, I'll watch it. Why did God show me that a woman got arrested from her employer by writing herself checks made out to cash? I always check with God.
Wow.
Always. I always communicate with God, whether I want something or whether I need confirmation. Always. And we talked about that last night, like different ways to communicate with God. Like, don't just constantly say, I need, I want, me, 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 me. One of the things I said to people was to say to God, how can I help you? Like, communicate with God in that way. How can I help you, God? So.
That's deep right there. How can I help you? Like, learn to be a service to others.
There you go, Melissa. How can I help you? How can I be a service to you so that I could be a service to others? That's exactly it. Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was a good show last night, Melissa. I think one of the shows I was kind of proud of myself because you guys don't know, before I do Tracy After Dark, and if it's a deep conversation, child, I panic. I'm like, okay, receive. I hope they receive me. I hope God's voice comes inside of me. I hope I don't sound, ignorant or stupid or uneducated. Whew, I go through a lot, and then I'm working too, right? So I don't finish working until 7. And so then I have a couple of hours to prepare, but a lot of that preparation is panic. I'm just sitting quietly, panicking inside my soul, worried, and I go on anyways, right? But this time, I usually pray before I go on, and this time I prayed on the air. I mean, that's how fearful I was that I wouldn't get my point across. But it turned out to be, a good talk. I'm getting better at not panicking.
You know what? I love it though.
Yeah.
I definitely have to listen to last night's thing because I watched some movies last night, and because I like to watch scary stuff, and I'm like.
Good morning, Mr. George.
One yesterday, we just went to go see a movie. It wasn't really scary, but it was kind of like, I've seen scary before, but.
What did you watch?
It was more like a suspense type of kill type of thing.
What did you go see?
I went to see the Austin movie,
The
First Kill.
Mm.
So I don't know if she's Russian or whatever, but she is a woman that never aged.
Uh-huh.
Right? She's like a midget woman that stays as a 10-year-old.
Shit.
A 10 years old body.
Shit.
So in the movie, she's 30 years old. And she wears dentures.
But if she wears dentures, is a part of her body aging?
Her teeth were bad, and I see why she wore dentures.
Got it.
You know, because she had her teeth were small, like little girl teeth. So I guess putting the dentures on made it look like they look like baby teeth. And it's like when you put the dentures on, it made it look like, like she had a full mouth of teeth.
Got it.
And so she's supposed to be this dangerous little girl, she's a grown woman in a little girl's body. And she likes to kill.
She likes to kill people?
She's someone. Yes.
Oh my God.
So there's the first movie and then there's the second movie. Yes, she actually kills people, but the thing is, she's that girl that actually will, like she goes and looks for families that do adoption to adopt little girls. So.
Go ahead,
This one I watched last night. Not to get too much, but I don't know. When I went to movies, there was nobody really in there, so I'm like, you know what? Maybe I could spill the beans a little bit. But the girl looked online to see who family that she can go and be in. Right?
Right.
To see which little girl who's missing that can look similar to her stuff.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So she goes and, acts like she's a little lost girl, and the police ask her her name, and that's how they find like a missing case saying, "You found your child."
Oh my God, Melissa, do you know that's
and I said to myself,
you said what now?
Oh no, go ahead.
Do you know that's a true story? Do you know that's a true story?
You said that's a true story?
Yes.
No, I didn't know that was a true story.
There's this woman that looks like a 6-year-old, right? But she's actually 26, right? And she's from like Czechoslovakia or something, right? And got adopted by a couple. Ultimately, the couple also had their own child. But the little girl supposedly was acting like this baby. And then when they had their own baby, the little girl got jealous. And so she couldn't help but be an adult, right? Like her natural adult side came through. Right? Hold on a second. Hold on. Somehow or another, they figure out that she's a grown-ass woman. And they're trying to tell social services she's not a little girl. So they got dental records. And from the dental records, right, they could tell by the dental records the age of this woman. So the dentist, yes. So I think it's funny that in the movie, they took the teeth out because then you have nothing to measure. So ultimately,
listen, this family didn't even. Oh.
No, go, Melissa. I'm so sorry.
I didn't know that.
So
I'm just saying I did not know that.
This is a true story. And ultimately, what they did was they gave the little girl an apartment, paid up the rent, and told her, you are on your own. But she looks 7. So then social services got involved.
Wow.
Yes, social services got involved and took them to court, the parents. And they had to tell the judge, you don't get it. She's not 7. She's pretending to be 7. Somehow or another, this turned into such a big scandal that another family came and took her in. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So crazy.
Okay.
What's the name of this movie? Orphan?
Often.
I would watch it.
Yeah, I'll tell y'all, but I'll tell you, yeah. I'll tell you what it's, I don't know, I gotta see what it, cause I got to, what I like about Prime is that it's just a movie that's out. You know, especially you can watch a movie at home or you can go watch a movie, you know.
Uh-huh.
And when I seen it, I said, you know what? I said, I'm not spending $20 for rent. I said, I might as well go to the movie. So that's what I did.
Oh, I think The Orphan. I think Magic Mermaid. I'm not sure, but I think she's saying there's an original movie called The Orphan.
Yeah. Yeah. They did a second one.
Oh.
Same little girl. Same little girl. But yeah, I'm gonna put it in the gem so you know that they can see the preview of it. But it just made me think last night. I was like, you know what? But this one they did a plot twist, which was really cool. So I said, my God, people are gonna be scared to adopt children.
What was the plot twist?
Just seeing this. You're gonna say, you know what? I'll just take a newborn.
Well, yeah. Yeah, people actually do say that now, Melissa. I mean, foster children have such a stigma attached to it that, you know, they do get abused, they get sexually abused. It's a nightmare.
It is. It is. I can definitely say that. You know, I have like 2 cousins that been like in the system and stuff, right? And they're adults now, but it's like it, you know, as far as family, they're not close, you know, because whatever they've been through, and that sort of stuff. Yeah. You know. Yeah,
that hurts, Melissa.
Yeah.
That hurts when the family doesn't take. Huh? That hurts.
Yeah, sometimes, you know. It does.
Yeah. You were gonna say, and sometimes what?
I said, and you know, sometimes it depending on everything they go through. Some people don't understand the thing, you know, how come they're not close. It's just that when you've been in that system, you just feel like you gotta just be independent for yourself. Like they don't attach themselves to anybody.
Plus, Melissa, there's a lack of love there, right?
Right.
Like, why didn't any family member take me in?
Right.
You know? And so when you become an adult, it's like you're glad to be back with family, but the feeling is like, do you guys know what I went through?
It's weird.
It's weird. You know, I have an adopted brother. And he just recently reconnected with his mother, right? And my mom always said he has another brother close in age before him. My brother was the last. There's another one just before him. So when my brother told me he found his mother, I was like, oh my God, how's that going? Because I know how uncomfortable it can be, right? But he had been looking for her for years. And he said to her, I don't want anything from you. I just wanted to find you. And he was like, you don't, yeah, my brother's a good man. He's like, you don't have to tell me anything. You have no explanation. I just wanted to set eyes on you, right? And of course she was receptive, right? And then the story that she wound up telling him, man, that social work system is fucked up. Because they literally convinced and coerced her that it would be better for these children to not be with her. They convinced her of that. And I believe it, right? And then throughout the years, you know, my mom has told some stories, but the one story she never told is that she actually met my brother's mother. Because the social work decided.
Wow.
Yep. 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 And my mother watched my brother be in pain. And at some point, I remember talking to him, and he was like, I'm going to stop mentioning that I'm searching for my mom because I see it's making our mom be uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, you know, I agree, you know, with whatever direction you're going to take, right? He meets up with his mom, and the social work system wanted to convince her, this woman, his mom, his original mom, that my mom was so much better that they brought my mom to meet her. And back in the day, that was unethical.
Wow, that's hard.
That's mean. That's mean. Yeah. That's mean. And
wow.
And back in the day, there was a defined class system, right? So you could tell by the way someone dresses who has more money than the other, right? There was a class system. And the class system could be just as simple as wearing gloves. Could be just as simple as wearing a particular type of hat. It was weird back in the day, right? And so she goes to meet this woman, guess where? At work.
What?
So mean. And the woman was the woman was so intimidated that she signed the paperwork for both children, but my brother came to me. We didn't know where of course, it wasn't our job to know where the other brother had gone to, right? My brother came to my mother. I think I said my brother came to me. My brother came to my mother. And his mom tells him this story. And when he told me this story, you know, he didn't say it mean. I'm saying it more mean than he is. But he didn't say it mean. He was like, this is the story. And when he told it to me, I was like, what? What? Like I could not breathe. That's how angry I had gotten. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
This intimidate people just to do something.
Yep.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. And what I can tell you, because I was there, is that my brother was never abused. Never. Everybody else got the shit beat out of them. Not my brother. Because she knew, and I didn't understand this, because I remember thinking, I was like, why doesn't Mark ever get hit, right? But now I realized something. She locked eyes on his mother and made a promise to her. See?
Oh.
She made a promise to her. Mark never got abused. He was never going to find his mother and tell his mother, this is what this woman did to her. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
Everybody else got abused. We got the shit beat out of us. Not my brother, not Mark. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that shows you, like, in a way, it's like the mother is like, she kind of puts, like, you know.
It was
wow,
calculated.
Someone look at you in your eyes and tell you that's deep.
It was calculated. The abuse was calculated. You know what I mean? You don't pick and choose that, right? She did.
That's true. No, you don't.
She did. That's how you know that abuse can be calculated. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Sometimes you just never know it. It's like, you know, when you get to hear the whole story, it's like.
Yeah. Hearing the other side of the story. And this is actually a good lesson, everyone, that we're talking about this. Be careful when you're just hearing one side of the story. Be careful. The other side of the story ain't complete. It's not. And a lot of people, no, it's not complete. The other side of it. So know both sides of the story. It's not to say that you have to get involved, but it just helps. Well, why aren't you talking to so-and-so? Because she did this to me and she did that to me. And then she turned around and did this to me. And then when you ask so-and-so, why aren't you talking to so-and-so? Then you hear the truth. Because now you could blend the two stories. And then you're like, whoa. Exactly. Exactly. And then you're like, whoa. How is it that the person that I am closest to is telling me this exaggerated story when I ask the other side actually makes more sense now. Have that ever happened to anyone? I don't like that.
You know, sometimes people will use that they you know, sometimes one person might exaggerate when they tell you a story, and then when you hear the other person's side, it's like, oh, well, they said they yelled at you, but you don't seem like you got yelled at.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, but I would see that movie, Melissa, The Orphan. I would see that.
Okay, yeah, it's not bad. It's not scary. It's just more like the little girl killed, pretty much. But honestly, I like the movie. I thought it was really good last night. I'm honestly could say it was a good plot twist. I actually said to myself, wow. It was good.
So I'm glad you went to the movie.
Yeah, you know, I was telling her about it. I was like, you know what? I really want to go see this movie. I said, do you want to go? Do you want to go? And I'm like, okay, she's off on Friday from her other job. She was like, yeah, let's just go. And I was like, I got to start doing stuff like this again. Because I'm like, I miss going to the movies.
Yes.
And I used to just go by myself. And going by myself, it's fun.
Yes.
It's like, you know, I'll go there, have my whatever, eat whatever I want, and just feel at peace. Because that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy stuff like that. You know? And I don't know, I mean, I had a talk the other night with a friend, and I was just like, you know, what things are you gonna do to make yourself happy? You know, what things are you not doing that you don't do anymore? Something new. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And I was just like,
And what answers?
Don't think like that.
What answers did you get? Was that something that someone could process well? That's a heavy question if someone doesn't know.
Right. Well, I realized for me, I realized that sometimes I could be laid back and lazy. Not lazy at work, but just when in general, like I can be lazy.
Okay.
But don't know, I never say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it took me for a loop for me to say the word lazy.
But I'm confused. How does the word lazy...
Confused?
Yeah, I'm confused. How does the word lazy and you asking what are the things you would do to make you happy? How do they go together? Or did somebody ask you that question?
Yeah. What would I like to do? Like, what do I do for fun? And not fun, but just like...
Oh.
How can I say?
I got you.
Like...
Someone asked you that question.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Right. Right. But it made me think, because I needed that.
Yeah.
Because you know how, like, sometimes you put yourself on a back burner, but you don't know you do?
Yes.
But you do everything else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like, I'm like, so I'm thinking about just take baby steps to do something that I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes. Like go to the movies last night.
Go to the movies, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's definitely important, Melissa. Right? Plus you also have people up there as well. You got Cola up there. You got Melissa downstate. Sky downstate. Like, meet up with some of your group mates.
I know, especially knowing that movie's gonna come out with the what's her name?
Viola.
That movie with the Warriors.
Viola.
Yeah, Viola.
Go see that as a group. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
That would be really, really nice.
I feel like that movie's gonna be almost like a blockbuster.
Let me tell you something, Melissa. I have not been to the movies in 2 years, nor do I care to go to the movies, but I love going to the movies. I am going in the theaters. I'm going to do it to watch Woman is King. I'm going in. Period. Woo! That's the only thing that's going to get me into the theaters. That movie. And then after that, Black Panther.
Right. As soon as you said Black Panther, I got chills.
Yes. Black Panther comes out in November. Woman and King, I think, comes out September 16th. I'm going to be in the theater. I'm going to be there. I'm not waiting until it shows up on some streaming channel. Fuck the streaming channels. I'm going to be there. And I just want to support Viola.
Right. I feel like we just got a month of some good movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when I like a movie, I'm a person that would be like, if I really like the movie and I've seen it, I have to be honest, I will go back.
Me too. Me too.
I will go back and go see it again.
Me too. So will I.
Oh, that's validation.
Yeah. That was validation.
Yeah.
But so will I. I will do the same thing. There was one movie.
And I'll be like, I will take somebody with me. I'll be like, you want to go to the movie?
Yeah.
You want to go to the movies? I'm like, you don't have to pay for nothing. Just come with me.
Yeah.
Experience with me.
Yes.
Because you want someone to experience with you. And then the look on their face is like, you're like, yes. Get it.
Yes. Yes. Well, we both can't wait for the movie to come out now, because I know I can't wait. I'm dying to see it. Just dying. And you know, since we all have shifted and elevated to African deities, right? And is more interested in the African diaspora, whatever that looks like. Like, I'm interested from the smallest of details, like cowrie beads, to the biggest of details, right? Like how can a woman be king, right? What is that? And so this is just going to be one of so many things that have been triggering Black women lately, right? There's just things that keep triggering us and keep awakening us and keep shifting us and keep taking the cells in our body, and it's making us like, I don't feel right in this skin, right? Like, it feels like this cocoon that we've been placed in is breaking away.
You know what, too?
Yeah.
I think that the movie is going to show other people out there, other races out there, that Black women are stronger than you realize.
Yes.
Boom.
Well, here's the thing, though, Melissa. We're going to get off on a topic that's maybe should be saved for next week. But what I can tell you is that the white culture, the females in the white culture, have never had a voice. Never. Right? And this is centuries.
Right.
Centuries of not having a voice. And maybe it's not the white culture. Maybe it's the Indian culture. Maybe it's the Pakistani culture. Like, not allowing women to be, the Afghanistan culture. Like, not allowing women to be prominent. Right? Right? This happens way too often.
So this can also be a woman empowerment. It can be a woman empowerment thing too.
Yes.
That can actually just like that, you know, we all have strength. And
yes.
Different cultures have strength, but they probably cannot speak out.
Yes.
And if when we're in America, we can speak out. Over there, maybe they speak out, they're dead.
But in America, can we really speak out? Because if we could, no one has their abortion rights.
No.
So I think that if I'm just watching the white culture over here, right? I think that they too have been in a cocoon. And they too are starting to, yes, they're starting to figure out, man, our men kept us bottled up and sexualized us and made us seem beautiful by way of sex and our bodies, when there's so much more than that. And I think as a national thing, women are waking up. They're like, hell fucking no. But I don't think they were capable of waking up until they saw other cultures, like the Black culture, the Mexican culture, the American Indian culture, where like we stand in more power. It doesn't mean that the men like us standing in power, because the Black men are not always happy that we stand in our power, right? But we still stand in it.
Right.
And so I think the white culture is getting to that place where it's like, I'd rather be in a place of standing in my power than be in a place where a man sexualizes me and makes me feel good about myself because of my body. Meanwhile, I'm having body dysmorphia issues. I'm not eating. I'm worried.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think it's getting to the point, thanks to other cultures, I think the white culture is starting to say, man, it must be nice to just be like, fuck off, dude. Right? It must be nice just to like have, because, you know, Blacks have different bodies, right? to just have a body and make it work and not be like, I'm not doing it for the man. I'm doing it for me, the female. And so I think the white culture in America is starting to fight back, but they don't even know what they're fighting back, but they're fighting back. And I've been noticing that because Instagram tells me a lot. Like Instagram. Yes. I use Instagram as a teaching tool. I'm like, white women are waking up. Wow. You go, girl. Yeah. It's a lot. Whew. But we could save that talk for another time. Because maybe I'll give you some examples. I'll point out some Instagram examples. Like, again, you know how I talk to God. So I'll just be like, God, show me all the Instagrams where white women are empowering each other. And every time it comes through, I'll send it through the group, Melissa. And then we'll talk about it when I have enough to show people, oh, yeah, there, look at this, and look at this, and look at this one, and look at that one.
Right.
All right? But before we begin to read the book, remember last week we were talking about, it was the philosophy stone, right?
Right.
And the movie, the series, The Sandman, right? Now remember, the philosophy stone, it's a technical thing. It's either a stone, but it really isn't a stone. It's a elixir. Right?
Yeah.
However, in The Sandman, there was this stone that was pulled out and given to some. I gotta go back over it again. But the Sandman, without saying it, brought up the philosophy stone.
Why, after we talked about it?
Yes!
That's crazy.
That is so crazy to me. That is so crazy. Oh, which reminds me, I was supposed to talk about this the Sandman last night. God damn it. I forgot. I totally forgot. I was supposed to talk about the first episode last night. Maybe I need to pick another date to talk about the philosophy, the Sandman. Because the Sandman is so good, Melissa.
I have not watched it yet, but I put it in my little like the little thing where there's movies that you want to watch.
Yes.
Where I know
yes.
what I want to see.
Maybe I'll talk about the Sandman today.
Okay.
Maybe around 4:00 today I'll talk about the Sandman. It's so good, Melissa. So we're talking about the Philosophy Stone and the Alchemist, and then I think it was episode 6, right? There's this thing where it had something to do with the longevity of life. It's a long story. It's a long story. There's this woman called the Vortex, and the Vortex needed to die, right? Because the Vortex kept readjusting life's patterns. And he said to her, he's like, you have to die. And at some point, her grandmother shows up, and she looks at her grandmother and she goes, will you just take care of my brother? Because she had lost her brother and she found the brother. And she's like, will you take care of my brother? And the great grandmother goes, of course I will. And then the grandmother decides, she goes, the guy's name is Dream, but it has something to do with your dreams. And so his name is Dream. And she goes, Dream, take me. She goes, I've lived long enough. And she might have been like 200 years old, right? She goes, I've lived long enough. Take me. And in order to be taken, she said to the little girl, I forgot what it was, and she goes, dig deep inside, dig deep inside, and give me something. And when she dug deep inside, she pulled out the philosophy stone, something like that. You gotta watch it to get how there's a connection with the alchemist. It was so crazy to me, and I was like, and there goes God again, always showing us something.
Right. You know what?
Huh?
So they're actually, this is like almost like not only validation, but it's like there could be something really out there that's like that.
Yes.
And it's just, you know, and it was hidden in plain sight because I never.
Yes.
Until we started reading this book.
Yes. Like there's just so much that's coming out of this book that's amazing. And to watch the connections in other arenas years apart, like this is crazy to me. But I think, Melissa, it's also a way of saying how we're getting closer to something.
Right.
And we have to prepare. Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I know we talked about last week about the because like in A Death Becomes Her, they had an ELEGBA that gives you that use.
Yes.
I rented the movie, but I didn't want to do that.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to rent that movie, I'm fine.
And the movie is
Death Becomes Her.
Yes, Death Becomes Her. All right, sweetie. Are you ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Do you know what page?
I'm hearing it snort in the background. It's just the dog.
Oh. Do you know what page we're on?
I think that let me see where we're at, because I know that we were on page, we was on page 70.
70. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's just read at the top of the page then.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I'll start now. Where are you bound?
Bound.
Asked the young. Bound. Where are you bound? Asked the young Arab. I'm going into the desert. The man answered, turning back to his reading. He didn't want any conversation at this point. What he needed to do was review all he had learned over the years, because the alchemist would certainly put him to the test. The young Arab took out a book and began to read. The book was written in Spanish. That's good, thought the Englishman. He spoke Spanish better than Arabic. And if this boy was going to
Alfaum,
there would be someone to talk to when there were no other important things to do. That's strange, said the boy as he tried once again to read the burial scene. That began the book. I've been trying for 2 years to read this book, and I never get past these first few pages, even without a king to provide an interpretation.
Interruption. Even without a king to provide an interruption.
He was able to concentrate. He still had some doubt about the decision he had made. He was able to understand one thing. Making a decision was only the beginning of things. When someone makes a decision, he is really diving into a strong current that will carry him to places he had never dreamed of when he first made the decision.
Okay, hold on, Melissa. Hold on. That's a really important point that just came up. And as a psychic reader yourself, you might hear this a lot, where people can't make a decision, right? And that's why they're calling us, right? And so we help them to get there, wherever there is. But a lot of people will say, I have such a hard time making a decision. And I would have to say to people, when you have a friend like that, or a child like that, or a person around you like that, the best thing that you can offer up to them is, one, patience, and two, make them make a decision. Try not to let people walk around saying, I can't make a decision, because you can't open up the portals. By not making a decision, you're stagnant, right? And so we get a lot of people coming to us, Melissa and I, that are like, I'm confused or I'm stuck, right? Because they haven't had the opportunity to learn to make decisions, right? And this is something that you can practice with children. You can constantly say to your children, do you want this or do you want that? You have a choice. And let's say it's breakfast. Do you want Fruit Loops or do you want oatmeal? And you make them choose, not because it's cute to watch them go, I don't know, what could I have? You have to say, it's important that you choose. And make that a practice without teaching them, literally, that the game that we're playing is going to be important in your adult life. And after they choose, then you could be like, was that a good choice for you? And however they made their answer, it's good and correct for them. So if someone says, if it was eggs and Fruit Loops and they chose the eggs, right? And then you say, was that a good choice for you, sweetie? And they go, no, I regret not choosing the Fruit Loops. And then you go, okay, well, tomorrow will be a new set of choices. But at least now you know that choosing gave you an answer. But it's not bad to get that answer. Now we know we have another opportunity to choose. And we'll just make new choices tomorrow. Does everyone understand what I'm trying to say? Because what he says in a book is, he still had some doubts about the decision he had made. But he was able to understand one thing. Making a decision was only the beginning of things. When someone makes a decision, he is really diving into a strong current that will carry him to places he had never dreamed of when he first made the decision. That's pretty deep.
It's like everything. It's not like some change. Yeah, it sounds pretty deep. It seems like it's like almost like you made a decision. You took an action to make a decision, right?
Right.
When you made a decision, it became an action.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And do you have to like the decision? No. But you have to choose the decision. And that in itself is what gives you power. Not what comes later, right? I made a decision to divorce my husband. The only regret I have in that is that I was always financially secure. And I knew if I stayed with him, I would always be financially secure, but I would be miserable. So I made a decision to be happy, but always struggled financially. Do you know what I mean? And yet in hindsight, I never really had regrets. If my regret was as small as being financially comfortable, but my husband was completely a horrible individual, all right, I can live without the finances because I'm really happy. But at least I made a decision, right? That dove into a strong current that could carry me to places I had never dreamed of when I first made the decision. I can tell you guys right now, if I had not left my husband, I would not be a psychic. He wouldn't have gone. No, he wouldn't have gone for it. Nope. No way. He would have fought me tooth and nail. And maybe had been violent even for not listening to him. And I didn't know when I made the decision, it would lead me to where God needed me to be, right? So let's go back to making a decision is diving into a strong current that will carry you to places you had never dreamed of when you first made the decision.
You know, I'm going to underline that.
Please do. Please do, because that's really important. Right? I left my husband at age 28, 29, no. Yeah. It was before I was 30. Yeah. And that one decision made me who I am today. Because I made that decision for me, not against him, not, I didn't like, no. I made it for me. I just didn't know where it was going to carry me. Now that I'm at the age, now that I'm at the age we don't talk about, in hindsight, I see the beauty of that decision. Wow. Boom. All right, Melissa. Thank you for that pause.
Oh, yeah. And I got a pink highlighter, too. I got to use it.
That's right. Ciao.
Okay, we're on the bottom of page 70.
Yes.
And it says, when I decide to seek out my treasure, I never imagined that I wind up working in a crystal shop, he thought, and joining the, caravan?
Uh-huh.
May have been my decision. But where it goes is going to be a mystery to me.
Yes.
Nearby was the Englishman, reading a book. He seemed unfriendly and had looked irritated when the boy had entered. They might even have become friends. But the Englishman closed off the conversation.
Yes.
The boy lose his look. He felt that he didn't want to do anything that might make him look like the Englishman. He took Uma and Burma from his pocket and began playing with them. The stranger shouted, "Uma and Burma?" In a flash, the boy put them back in his pocket. "They're not for sale," he said. "They're not worth much," the Englishman answered. "They only made of rock crystals, and there are billions of rock crystals in the earth. But those who know about such things would know that those are Uma and Burma. I didn't know that they had them in this part of the world. They were given to me as a present by a king," the boy said. The stranger didn't answer. Instead, he put his hand in his pocket and took out 2 stones that were the same as the boy. Damn. "Did you say a king?" he asked. "I guess you don't believe that a king would talk to someone like me, a shepherd," he said, wanting to end the conversation. Not at all. It was shepherds who were the first to recognize a king that the rest of the world refused to acknowledge. So it's not surprising that kings would talk to shepherds. And he went on, fearing that the boy wouldn't understand what he was talking about. It's in the Bible. The boy, the same book that taught me about Uma and Burma. These stones were the only form of divination permitted by God. The priest carried them in a golden breastplate. The boy was suddenly happy to be there at the warehouse. "Maybe this is an omen," said the Englishman, half out loud. "Who told you about omens?" The boy, interested, was increasing by the moment. "Everything in life is an omen," said the Englishman. Now, closing the journal he was reading, "There is a universal language understood by everybody, but already forgotten. I am in search of that universe language, among other things. That's why I'm here. I have to find a man who knows that universal language." An alchemist. The conversation was interrupted by the warehouse boss. "You're in luck, you two," the fat Arab said. "That's a canvas?" No. Yeah, there's a caravan. "Yeah, there's a caravan leaving today for Al-Faoum. But I'm going to Egypt," the boy said. "Al-Faoum is in Egypt," said the Arab. "What kind of Arab are you?" "That's a good luck omen," the Englishman said, after the fat Arabic had gone out. "If I could, I'll write a huge I don't know how to say that word. Encyclopedia just about the words luck and coincidence." It's with those words that the universal language is written. He told the boy it was no coincidence that he had met him with Uma and Dharma in his hand. And he asked the boy if he too were in search of the alchemist. I'm looking for a treasure, said the boy, and he immediately regretting having said it. But the Englishman appeared not to attach any importance to it. In a way, so am I, he said. I don't even know what
alchemy
is, the boy was saying when the warehouse boss called them to come outside.
So, in this, hold on, Melissa. In this moment, is the boy missing something? Can you tell something's not right all of a sudden? This is a really smart boy that understood all the messages that the king had given him. And now, faced with the Englishman and this other Arab, the boy's getting a little confused. In the moment, he's not understanding the signs and the omens. Do you see what happened? Right?
Yeah.
The other Arab was like, Uma and Thurman. And the boy immediately thought, it's not for sale. And from those words, right? From those words.
I mean, just to know that someone knows what the stones are.
Exactly.
Didn't even get it.
And then the boy goes, well, I got mine from a king. And the guy goes, of course you did. Who else would give you the stone? No, the boy goes, oh, do you think, like, because I'm a shepherd, I can't have the stones? And it's like, what is happening? And the guy goes, no, kings talk to shepherds. Right? And then the Englishman that was completely ignoring him put his book down and he was like, hey, literally he says to him, this is an omen. And the boy's not recognizing anything that's happening right now. Nothing. He's completely lost inside his head. And he's like, I'm not looking for this. I'm looking for a treasure. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have told him I was looking for a treasure. Basically saying now he's going to want to know about my treasure. The boy is lost all of a sudden. He was learning so much from the king. And then he went to the crystal guy and he offered up so much to the crystal guy, the shop owner, that the shop owner changed its spirit because of the little boy. Now the little boy is on his own. Right. Now the little boy is on his own and now he's forced to be out in the world and communicate with the world. And he's kind of going back to that original person we just met before he went on his travels, right? We're meeting up with the little shepherd boy again.
Right.
Because he's so confused. And the Englishman goes, he told the boy it was no coincidence that he had met him with Uman and Thurman in his hand. And then he asked the boy, right? But the boy's not, all of a sudden the boy can't see, he keeps talking about this universal language and it's like, but you're not talking the language. And then the man goes, are you searching for the alchemist? And the boy goes, I'm looking for a treasure. And then he was like, oh, damn, maybe I shouldn't have told him that. But look at what the Englishman did. He was like, oh, in a way, so am I, right? The alchemy is a treasure. He's looking for a literal treasure, and the Englishman is looking for change.
Right.
Which comes
looking
in
for the universal language.
Yes. And then the boy goes, I don't even know what alchemy is. Exactly. That's exactly the point. He goes back to a state in his language where he's like, I'm meeting the king all over again. He doesn't say that, but he goes, I don't even know what alchemy is. Right. You absolutely do not know what alchemy is, which is why you need to understand that you met someone that understands the stones that you're carrying. And the Englishman who wasn't talking to you now is talking to you because there's a bond and the connection between the three persons. And you're right, young man. You absolutely do not know what alchemy is. Sit down. Learn something. Ooh, child.
That is so true.
I think we all go through that, Melissa. I think there's a part of us that act like we know. I'll give you a good example. You all are constantly saying, and I've been hearing this lately, and I really appreciate it. And you guys are constantly, Tracey, you're a teacher. Because I make a joke about how if I were a teacher, right, I would be fired. I'd be cursing out little 5-year-old kids and their parents, right? But I would be the best. I would be the best teacher. I just wouldn't be a teacher for too long, right? And as of lately, people have been saying, no, you're a teacher. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I didn't realize I had stepped into that role, right? But then I did something with Ifa Sheye, which I didn't tell you guys about. I did something with Ifa Sheye. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm a student. And she's the teacher. And I'm overwhelmed because now I've got to sit back and absorb brand new information. Brand new. Like what I think I know, I don't know shit. Right? And so I say that to say, because in a short span, this boy, after meeting the king, became intellectual. His intellectual prowess kept growing and growing and growing. And you could see how he was communicating with this defunct crystal shop owner that was an old man. And the little boy was like, listen, you're never too old. You're never too old to start over again. You're never too old to go on a trip to Mecca. I'm paraphrasing, but allowing himself, the young boy, to teach the crystal shop owner and see the change in the crystal shop owner, even at the point where he kind of stood on top of the railing and was looking at how busy the shop was. And he didn't say this, but he knew he created that. But he didn't say it. He wasn't arrogant about it, but he knew. And then in that moment, the best thing he thought he could do was just leave. Not say goodbye, but just leave. Because he wanted to leave that memory there, right? And now he's on his own. And now he meets up with two people that kind of shakes his system up a little bit, right?
Right.
And now he has to start over again. New learning. And how does he end the paragraph? He goes, I don't even know what alchemy is. Boom. I've got to sit back and be relearned. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. And we all go through that. All of us. And those of us that are outside of our ego can recognize I'm in a relearning phase of my life. What is this person trying to teach me through God, through the universe, through Christ Jesus? Because, baby, sit back and relearn. Mm-hmm. Whew. All right, Melissa. Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, we're on page 73.
Yes.
And we're on the bottom, and it says, I'm the leader of the caravan.
Yes.
Said a dark-eyed, bearded man. I hold the power of life and death for every person I take with me. The desert is a
capricious.
Capricious. Oh, how you say that?
Capricious.
Capricious lady. And sometimes she drives me crazy.
No.
No,
hold on, Melissa. Read that again. And
sometimes she drives me crazy.
Sometimes she drives men crazy.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yes.
Sometimes she drives men crazy.
Yes. Hold on, Melissa, because in the desert, what is it that they get sometimes? They get these illusions, but I forget what they're called. The desert and the heat can literally put you in the Looney Tunes state. Literally. And so when he said this, he was like, you all are in my hands. I hold the power between Mirage. Thank you. Thank you, Jayon. Mirage. So you know how some stories we hear, but of course we don't understand it because I've never visited that type of the desert, although I think some parts of Arizona have desert-like feeling. But if you're not careful between the sun and that sand, you'll begin to have mirages. But it'll lead you to craziness because you'll think you see a body of water and you'll start drinking that water, but you're swallowing up the sand. Right?
Oh my goodness,
yeah. So this was literal. He says, I'm the leader of this caravan. I hold the power of life and death for every person I take with me. The desert is a capricious lady, and sometimes she drives men crazy. But that was literal, not like a seductive, like, woo, but maybe it is seduction. Maybe it is. All right. Go, Melissa. Woo, child.
There were almost 200 people gathering there, and 400 animals, camels, horses, mules, and fowls. In the crowd were women, children, and a number of men with swords at their belts. And what's that? Is that rifle? Or
wait, they were also together for the camels and fowl. In the crowd were women, men, children, and with swords. Go ahead, Melissa. A number of men with swords.
Swords at their belt and rifle. Was that rifle slung?
Yes.
On their shoulders. The Englishman had several suitcases filled with books. There was a babbling of noise. And the leader had to repeat himself several times for every one to understand what he was saying.
Right.
There are a lot of different people here, and each has his own God. But the only God I serve is Allah. And in his name, I swear that I will do everything possible once again to win out over the desert. But I want each and every one of you to swear by the God you believe in that you will follow my orders no matter what. In the desert, disobedience means death.
Wow. So listen to what the caravan leader is saying. He's saying, I am taking full responsibility for everyone here. But don't try me. Don't try me.
Right.
If I tell you to do something, do it. And I need you to swear to God that you will do what I say. That's crazy. I wonder what can happen, Melissa.
And I mean, and he told them to swear on their God that they believe in.
I love that part. Exactly, Melissa. He didn't say my God. He said swear on the God that you believe in. I love that.
Yeah, me too. So I'll go on. There was a murmur from the crowd. Each was swearing quietly to him, his or her own God. The boy swore to Jesus Christ.
Yes.
The Englishman said nothing. And the murmur lasted longer than a simple vow would have. The people were also praying to heaven for protection. A local note was sounding on a bugle. And everyone mounted up. The boy and the Englishman had bought camels and climbed uncertainly onto their back. The boy felt sorry for the Englishman camel, loading down as he was with the suitcase. The case of books.
Cases of books, yes.
There's no such thing, huh?
Cases of books. Remember, the Englishman was a reader. So the boy goes, I feel sorry for his camel because he's not only carrying the body of the human being, but now he's added the cases of books.
Yeah. And there's no such thing as coincidence, said the Englishman, picking up the conversation where it had been interrupted. In the warehouse. I'm here because a friend of mine heard of an Arab who, but the caravan began to move. And it was impossible to hear what the Englishman was saying. The boy knew what he was about to describe. So, the mysterious chain that links one thing to another, the same chain that had caused him to become a shepherd, that had recalls his reoccurring dream that had brought him to a city near Africa to find a king and to be robbed in order to meet a crystal merchant. And the closer one gets to realizing his personal legend, the more that personal legend becomes his true reason for being through the boy.
Right.
The boy.
The closer one gets to realize his personal legend, the more that personal legend becomes his true.
The more.
Right. The more that personal legend becomes his true reason for being, thought the boy. So now he's beginning to. That's deep, right? Now again, he's fluctuating back to his maturity, his intellectual maturity. He's using critical thinking again, right?
Right.
Good for him.
The caravan moved towards the east. It traveled during the morning, halted when the sun was at its strongest, and resumed late in the afternoon. The boy spoke very little with the Englishman, who spent most of his time with his books. The boy observed in silence the progress of the animals and the people across the desert. Now everything was quiet, quite different from how it was that day they had stepped out. Then there had been confusion and shouting, the cries of children, and the whining of animals, all mixed with the nervous orders of the guides and the merchants. But in the desert, there was only the sound of the internal wind and of the hoof beat of the animals. Even the guides spoke very little to one another. I've crossed these sands many times, said the one of the camel drivers one night, but the desert is huge and the horizon so distant that they make a person feel small and as if he should remain silent.
Wow.
The boy understood intuitively what he meant, even without ever having set foot in the desert before. Whenever he saw the sea or a fire, he felt silent, impressed by their elemental force.
Elemental
I
force.
learned
Elemental.
I learned elemental force. I learned things from the sheep and have learned things from crystal. He thought, I can learn something from the desert too. It seemed old and wise. The wind never stopped, and the boy remembered the day he had sat at the fort in
Tarifa.
With the same wind blowing in his face. It reminded him of the wool from his sheep. His sheep would the sheep who were now seeking food and water in the fields of an Elysium, as they always had. They're not my sheep anymore, he said to himself, without nonchalance.
Without nostalgia.
Without nostalgia.
Yes.
They must be used to their new shepherd and have probably already forgotten me. That's good. Creatures like the sheep that are used to traveling know about moving on. He thought of the merchant's daughter and was sure that she had probably married, perhaps to the baker or to another shepherd who could read and could tell her exciting stories. After all, he probably wasn't the only one. But he was excited at his intuitive understanding of the camel driver comment. Maybe he was also learning the universal language that deals with the past and the present of all people.
Hunches.
His mother used to call them.
Hold on, sweetie. Hunches. Right.
His mother used to call them. The boy was beginning to understand that intuition is really a sudden immersion of the soul into the universe current of life, where the history of all people are connected, and we are able to know everything because it's all written there. Montauk, right?
Montauk. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong too. Montauk.
Montauk, the boy said, remembering the crystal merchant. The desert was all sand in some stretch and rocky in others. When the caravan was blocked by a boulder, it had to go around it. If there was a large rocky area, they had to make a major detour. If the sand was too fine for the animals' hooves, they sought a way where the sand was
substantial.
In some place, the ground was covered with the salt of dry up lake. The animals
bulked
at such places. I said,
yeah, bulked. Like when your dog doesn't want to go in a puddle of water, and you're like, come on. That's the dog balking, where it's like, no, I'm not. Like, they can tell what we can't tell.
Okay, I learned something new today.
Yes.
At such place, the camel drivers were forced to dismount and
unburden
their charge.
No. Go back, Melissa.
Unburden. The camel drivers were forced to dismount. And is that
unburden?
Oh, unburden. Unburden their charge.
charges?
The drivers carry their fridge.
The freight.
Bridge, right?
The freight.
Themselves over such territory footing. And then reloaded the camel.
Okay, go back over that. Hold on, sweetie. Go back over that. From the drivers, and the word is freight.
Oh.
Start over again. The drivers.
Mm-hmm. The drivers carry the freight themselves over such treacherous footing, and then reloaded the camel. If a guy were to fall ill or die, the camel drivers would draw lots. The camel drivers will draw lots and appoint a new one.
Damn.
But all this happened for one basic reason. No matter how many detours and adjustments it's made, the caravan moved towards the same compass point.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. But so at some point, if a guide were to fall ill or die, the camel drivers would draw lots and appoint a new one. Basically like drawing straws, like who's going to be the next guide. But all of this happened for one basic reason. No matter how many detours and adjustments it made, the caravan, meaning the line of camels going through the desert, moved toward the same compass point. So that tells me that this caravan of camels, remember we talked about compass magic, where are we going? Right?
Right.
So this tells me that they're literally using a compass, and no matter the detour. So what was going on here is sometimes they have to detour because the camel doesn't like the particular sand. You know, they might sink, and so the camel knows, and so they might have to make a huge detour if there used to be a lake there, because that lake mixed with crystal is not sand. Camels are better on sand. But the camel could tell, no, this is not sand. This is actually something else. And so imagine the size of a lake that got dried up, right? Lakes aren't small. They're not puddles. So that means they have to follow the lead, the internal lead and decision of the camel. So that means they've got to go around the lake, which is probably a huge lake. But that means they're now detouring, right?
Right.
But, and then they go, and if somebody dies, they die, right? We appoint a new guide, and no matter what did this man say? I am responsible whether or not you live or die. The whole caravan of camels.
Right.
So you follow me. Don't detour. Don't take your own route. You don't know the treacherous land of the desert. He's telling the people, make sure all eyes are on me. Make sure you listen to me. At some point, when they go through the desert, in the beginning, everybody was making noise. Babies were crying. Animals were whining. Blah, 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 blah. By the time everybody got to the desert, everybody shut the fuck up.
90 seconds.
And they shut up because...
Right.
They shut up because you're in an element that's not normal for you. The desert is in control. The elements and the elemental forces has got their lives in your hand. So all of a sudden, and we talked about this even last night, silence.
60 seconds.
Silence is the only thing that will help you to survive. So everybody intuitively got quiet. And so the guide says, listen, even if somebody dies or gets ill, this is how we handle it. Because all of a sudden, it's not about one person. I've got a whole caravan of people that I promised to get to the promised land. So we pull lots, and all of a sudden, we've got a new lead for another set of caravan, but they're all going in the same place, right? And then he says, no matter what, we stay with the compass.
10 seconds.
Wherever the compass is pointing, that's how we're going to get to our destination.
Wow. I mean, I don't know how to imagine like being around just sand, but you don't see any towns, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that got to be scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever been on a cruise, Melissa?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Never been on one.
Okay. It's a body of water is the same thing as the desert, right? Sometimes you could be in the middle of an ocean and there is nothing to be found. Nothing to be found. Zero. Nothing. You get what you get, and that is a body of water. And let me tell you something. It can be scary. When you think about what's the possibility of being stuck here, it could drive you crazy. So instead, you drink a lot of liquor and you dance. When you're like, I'm not thinking about where's my rum and coke? Because this is a lot to take in. I would assume that it feels very similar to a body of ocean where land cannot be found. And what gets the captain to its destination? The compass.
The compass.
A simple tool, right? You've been in a plane, right, Melissa? Have you been in a plane?
I've been on a plane before.
So again, we're talking about elemental forces, right? When you get in a plane at some point, there's nothing to be found. Nothing. You see the city that you left, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and before you know it, you're 20,000 miles in the sky. There's nothing there with you. But what gets that pilot back to its destination? The compass. So you've been in a plane. It's the same thing, but the desert. So now you can imagine what that feels like. Just not the same elemental force. Mm-hmm.
No, but it's still, I mean, you're in the air, you don't see anything.
Yes.
So it's like you don't know if you're passing, you don't even know if you're passing by a body of water that's just there.
Nothing. You have no idea. Nothing. And here it says, but all this happens for one basic reason. No matter how many detours and adjustments, the caravan moved toward the same compass point. So we're all going to arrive. And there she goes. Why do they cut me off so early? They used to leave me on for 15 minutes extra at Blog Talk Radio. I'm so mad at Blog Talk Radio. Now they cut me off at 3 minutes. Do they hate me? I think they hate me. That's my answer to everything. When something doesn't go my way, I say, they hate me. When something goes my way, I say, God loves me. Yes, Lisa D. Compass magic. Yes, Lottie. Compass. All right, guys. And for Puja Vaish, you can always contact me for your own personal reading at 213-458-7408. I do have openings today, so you can text that number, and I would be happy to help you see if there's a reunion involved. By the way, guys, all of my readings are now on FaceTime and Zoom, and or Zoom. FaceTime and or Zoom. So you get to see me, you get to see the cards. If you want to show your face, that's beautiful. If you don't want to show your face, I'm still going to do the reading. I love FaceTime and Zoom now. I love it. I didn't even know I would love it as much as I do. I have been depriving myself of an even more intimate connection by the visual. And I have to tell you, I have been reading some of you guys for years, not knowing what your faces look like. And it's so much fun to be like, oh, I get to put the face to the voice. Hi, Melissa. That damn Block Talk Radio cuts me off at 3 minutes now, child. They don't play with me no more. I don't know why. I don't like it, Melissa. I don't like it. They hate me. Oh, well. Fuck them too. Melissa, that was so good. That was so good. So everyone, get a compass. Get a compass and let's start doing some compass magic. And let's be open to where it leads us. All right? There's a full moon September 10th. And let me just see something. There's a full moon September 10th, which is, oh, I lost the date. Oh, no. Hold on. Which is, we got to get a compass. There's a full moon September 10th, which is next Saturday. I think Mercury retrograde is either the 9th or the 10th. So you might want to do your compass magic on the 8th. Because I tend not to do magic September. I tend not to do magic during the retrograde. I just feel like that's a way of giving yourself a break from the magic. Because I do so much magic, like sometimes it's just like, ugh, just stop already. The retrograde in September is September 9th. Mercury, who is turning retrograde in relationships, obsessed Libra on September 9th until October 2nd. From September 9th till October 2nd. So if some of you guys want to do your magic on the 8th, do it on the 8th. Hold on. I used to have a book that I could just go to and open up the pages. Oh, wait, what sign is the moon is what I'm looking for. Sign. Hold on, let me see if I can get an answer for you guys. What sign? It's in the sign of Libra. No, it's not. Hold on, guys. What sign is the moon September 2022? Hold on, I'm sorry, guys. There's a full moon is in Pisces on the 10th, but it's not showing me what the 8th looks like, because by the 10th we'll be in Mercury retrograde. Thank you, Tracy and Melissa. Enjoyed it. Get your compass. Yes. Get your compass. We all need help with directions. Don't you agree, Aquarian 71? What sign is the moon in on September 8th? Oh, shit. 2021. My God, people. It's not telling me. The moon will be... Still not telling me. Oh, this is so annoying. Not the moon phase. The sign, the zodiac is September 8th. And it's going to be in the sign of Virgo, September 8th. The sign of Virgo. Now, I guess it is. How? How is it in the sign of Virgo? No. Don't listen to me, guys. That's true. That's not true. We're in the sign. I'm looking for the moon sign. All right. I gotta do some research. I'm over this. My theory is that Mercury retrograde is about communication and doing magic to get what you want is about communication, right? Communication with your God, your job, your relationships, blah, 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 blah. So I tend not to do magic while the Mercury is retrograde. That is a time to sit things out. Also, by the way, everyone, stop thinking that you can have conversations with your boss, your partner, your children during the retrograde. It becomes explosive. No one gets hurt, and you're apt to break up, be fired, or have your children walk out. Don't even talk to your animals. Feed them and let it go, right? Mercury is always there, that if you didn't understand that maybe you're not supposed to be with someone in the last few months, the signs were there, Mercury will make you understand it. But when Mercury makes you understand it, it is ugly. It is bad. So, be mindful of why the planets present themselves to us the way that they present themselves to us. Get your cars checked. Seriously. If your light has been coming on, if your tires have been acting funny, if you've been hearing ding, 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 ding in your car, take it in. Or you're going to wind up being stranded on the side of a road, saying to yourself, I should have listened to Tracy. 11:11. Make a wish, everyone. All right, guys, take Mercury retrograde seriously. Learn to take Mercury retrograde. If you don't know, you don't know. But the best thing you can do is to be educated in the planets and how the planets affect us and our personalities, because it will seriously help you avoid the pitfalls. Right? During Mercury retrograde is not the time to write a letter to your boss about being racially profiled or sexually harassed. Nope. You wait until October. Okay? Ciao. We're going to do a test this time, guys. We're actually going to wind up measuring how you survive this Mercury retrograde. We'll start it next week. And every week we're going to check in. And what I want to hear you say is, oh, child, I avoided this, that, and the third. And I'm so glad I listened to you, Tracey. That's what I want to hear you say. I have a funny feeling I'm going to hear people say, well, I thought about what you said, Tracey, but I decided to go ham on my wife, and it didn't work out for me. I'm in the doghouse for real. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for putting up with me and Melissa. Melissa, thank you so much. You've been so dedicated to reading for everyone. Like, subscribe. To contact me, it's 213-458-7408. To contact Melissa, Melissa, how can people contact you? I really got to get this out in the beginning. Melissa Burton. I know you can DM her. On IG, right? Oh, I know. Melissa Burton also has a YouTube, and it's called the Melissa Burton Show on YouTube. By the way, just follow Melissa Burton on YouTube. All right. She does these amazing readings. So follow her. YouTube, the Melissa Burton Show, and you can contact her on her channel. All right, Melissa. We need an email address. So get an email address so people can contact you, okay? All right, guys. I love you. And thank you. All right. You can DM her on YouTube and on IG and on YouTube. You could send her a message, the Melissa Burton Show, and you can contact her on her channel. Okay, good. Yeah, get an email address, Melissa. That's going to be important now. All right, guys, I love you. I thank you. It's so much fun. Take it easy. Goodbye. Listen to yesterday's show on how to communicate with God. I think I'm somewhat proud of that show because I prayed on it. So I believe I have the right to be proud of that show. Contact me for your own personal reading. I do have openings today, 213-458-7408. If you want to contact Melissa and you're having some trouble, you can always contact me and I can pass the message on to Melissa as well. I love you guys. Take it easy. Bye. Like and share. Bye. 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 Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live.